Have you ever sat quietly for a moment and thought, something feels different lately? Not in a dramatic way, not like a sudden illness or a big event, but in small, subtle ways. Maybe your body feels a little heavier than it used to. Maybe your energy doesn't quite bounce back like it once did. Or maybe someone you love, your spouse, a sibling, a dear friend, just seems slower, quieter, more withdrawn than before. These changes can be easy to brush off. We tell ourselves, that's just aging. And in many cases, that's true. Aging is a natural, beautiful part of life. But sometimes the body and mind begin to shift in ways that are a little deeper, a little more meaningful. Not alarming, but important to understand. Today, I want to talk with you about something that most people avoid, yet many quietly wonder about. The subtle signs that an older adult may be entering the final chapter of life. Not in a frightening way, and not with fear, but with awareness, compassion, and peace. Because when we understand these signs, we don't panic. We don't feel helpless. Instead, we become more present, more patient, more loving. We begin to notice the moments that truly matter. And if you're watching this for yourself, this isn't about worry. It's about understanding your body, honoring its changes, and living each day with a deeper sense of calm and purpose. Let's gently begin with something many people notice first, but often underestimate. One of the earliest and most visible signs is a noticeable decline in physical strength and overall health. Now, this isn't just about feeling a little more tired after a long day. It's something deeper than that. It's when everyday tasks that once felt simple begin to require more effort than expected. You might notice it when standing up from a chair. Something that used to happen without a second thought now takes a moment of preparation. Maybe you push off the armrest a little harder, or pause before taking your first step. Walking across the room might feel slower, less steady. Even holding objects, like a cup of coffee or a fork, might feel slightly more difficult than before. And if you're noticing this in someone you love, you may see it in the way they move. Their steps become shorter. Their posture leans forward just a bit more. They may sit longer, rest more often, or avoid activities they once enjoyed, not because they don't want to, but because their body no longer responds the same way. This kind of change happens gradually, almost quietly. Inside the body, muscles begin to weaken more quickly than before. The heart doesn't pump as efficiently. Oxygen doesn't reach the cells as easily. It's not something you can see from the outside right away, but you can feel its effects. And here's something important to understand. When the body begins this kind of shift, it's not failing, it's adapting, it's moving into a different rhythm. Instead of focusing on growth and recovery, it begins to focus on preservation and balance. You might also notice changes in appetite around this time. Food becomes less appealing, meals get smaller, favorite dishes no longer bring the same excitement. This can be confusing for families. They might think, why aren't they eating? Are they giving up? But the truth is often much simpler and more natural. The body doesn't need as much energy as it once did. Digestion slows down. The system becomes more selective about what it can handle. It's not stubbornness. It's the body gently adjusting its needs. Another small but meaningful change is how a person carries themselves. Their shoulders may slump a bit more. Their movements become more careful, almost cautious. Even their breathing may feel slightly shallower, especially during activity. And emotionally, something shifts too. There may be less interest in rushing, achieving, or keeping up with everything. A quieter pace begins to feel more comfortable. Rest becomes not just helpful, but necessary. If this is happening to you or someone close to you, the most important thing to remember is this. Don't fight it with frustration. Instead, meet it with understanding. This doesn't mean giving up on movement or health. Gentle activity, light stretching, short walks, these can still bring comfort and maintain strength. But pushing too hard, expecting the body to perform like it used to, can lead to exhaustion or even injury. Sometimes the most caring thing you can do is simply slow down with the body, respect its pace, honor its limits. And if you're caring for someone, your presence matters more than any exercise routine. Sitting beside them, offering a steady hand, helping them move safely, these small acts carry more love than you might realize. Now, as the body begins to slow in this way, another change often follows. It's less visible at first, but just as important. Sleep begins to change. You might find yourself, or your loved one, sleeping longer than usual. Not just an extra nap here and there, but extended periods of rest throughout the day. It may feel like the body is constantly asking for sleep, even after a full night in bed. And this isn't laziness, it isn't boredom, it's the body's way of conserving energy. In many cases, Older adults in this stage may sleep 14, sometimes even 16 hours a day. They might doze off during conversations, while watching television, or even while eating. Nights can become restless, with frequent waking, confusion, or vivid dreams that blur the line between past and present. You might hear them speak softly about things that don't quite make sense in the moment, talking about people from long ago or places they haven't visited in years. Sometimes it can feel concerning, even unsettling, but often this isn't a sign of something going wrong. It's the mind beginning to shift its focus. The brain is receiving less stimulation, circulation changes, metabolism slows, and with that, the boundary between memory and present reality can soften. During waking moments, you may notice their attention drifting. Their eyes may seem distant, not fully focused. Conversations may feel slower, with pauses or repeated thoughts. It might take longer for them to respond, or they may lose track of what they were saying. And yet, beneath all of this, there is often a quiet calm, a sense of peace that replaces the busyness of earlier years. This is where many families feel unsure. They want to keep their loved one engaged, awake, active. They might say, "Don't sleep so much," or "Stay with me, let's talk." But sometimes the kindest thing you can do is allow the rest. Sit beside them, hold their hand. Let silence be comfortable instead of something that needs to be filled. Because in this stage, rest isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's mental. It's a gentle letting go of the constant need to be alert, productive, and involved. And if this is something you're experiencing yourself, there's no need to feel guilty for needing more rest. Your body is guiding you. It's asking for a different kind of care, one that values stillness as much as activity. As these changes in strength and sleep begin to unfold, there's another shift that often happens quietly, sometimes without anyone fully realizing it at first. And that is a gradual change in how a person connects with others around them. And this shift can be one of the most emotional for families to witness. You may notice that someone who once loved conversation, who used to call friends, attend gatherings, or sit at the center of family moments, begins to step back. At first, it might be small things. They skip a phone call. They choose to stay home instead of joining a dinner. They listen more than they speak. Over time, that change becomes more noticeable. They may spend longer periods sitting quietly, perhaps looking out a window, or simply resting without engaging in much conversation. When visitors come, they might seem tired sooner than expected, or gently excuse themselves after just a short while. It's natural to feel concerned when you see this. Many people wonder, are they lonely? Are they depressed? Should I be doing more to cheer them up? But here's something important to understand. This kind of withdrawal is often not about sadness. It's about a quiet turning inward. As the body slows down, the mind begins to shift its focus. Social interaction, which once felt energizing, can start to feel like it requires too much effort. Conversations may feel tiring. Noise may feel overwhelming. And instead of seeking stimulation, the person begins to seek peace. They may still love you deeply. They may still appreciate your presence more than you realize. But the way they express that connection changes. Instead of long conversations, they may prefer a few gentle words. Instead of busy gatherings, they may find comfort in sitting quietly beside someone they trust. Instead of laughter and activity, they may choose stillness. You might hear them say things like, "I'm okay just resting," or "I don't need much today," and they truly mean it. There's also something deeper happening during this time. Many older adults begin reflecting more on their lives. Memories come forward. Thoughts become more introspective. They may think about the people they've loved, the experiences they've had, and the meaning of it all. This inner reflection can feel more important than external interaction. And sometimes, they begin to express gratitude in quieter ways. A gentle smile, a soft "thank you," a look that carries more meaning than words ever could. For families, this stage can feel bittersweet. There may be a desire to bring them back into the world as it used to be, to encourage more talking, more activity, more engagement, but often the most loving response is not to pull them outward, but to meet them where they are. Sit beside them without needing to fill the silence. Hold their hand. Let your presence speak for you. Because in this phase, connection doesn't disappear. It simply becomes quieter, deeper, and more meaningful. And as this inward shift continues, the body often begins to show another clear and gentle sign that it is changing its needs. Food and drink no longer hold the same importance they once did. You might notice that meals become smaller. A plate that used to be finished is now only half eaten. Favorite foods are left untouched. Drinks sit on the table, barely sipped. At first, this can be confusing and even frustrating for loved ones, Food has always been a way we show care. Cooking a meal, offering a snack, encouraging someone to eat, it feels like love in action. So when someone begins to refuse food or show little interest in eating, it can feel like something is wrong. But in many cases, this is a natural part of the body's process. As metabolism slows, the body simply doesn't need as much fuel. The digestive system becomes less efficient. Processing large amounts of food can actually create discomfort, feelings of heaviness, bloating, or nausea. Even the sense of taste can change. Foods may seem bland or even unpleasant. Swallowing may take more effort. The simple act of eating, which once brought joy, can begin to feel like work. And so, the body gently begins to let go of that need. This isn't about giving up. It's about the body choosing what it can comfortably handle. There's also an emotional layer to this change. As people move deeper into reflection and inner awareness, physical desires, like hunger, often become less important than emotional peace. They may talk less about what they want to eat and more about memories, feelings, or the people they care about. For families, this can be one of the hardest things to accept. The instinct is to encourage, to insist, to say, just eat a little more, you need your strength. And that instinct comes from love. But sometimes pushing too hard can cause discomfort. It can make meals stressful instead of comforting. A gentler approach can make a big difference, offering small portions instead of full meals, providing soft, easy-to-swallow foods, giving sips of water instead of full glasses. Even moistening the lips or offering a favorite flavor can bring comfort without pressure. The goal shifts from nutrition to comfort, from how much they eat to how peaceful they feel. And if you're experiencing this yourself, it's important to listen to your body without fear. Changes in appetite are a natural part of how the body adjusts. What matters most is that you feel at ease, not forced. As these changes in eating and connection continue, there's another shift that often becomes more visible over time. It shows up in the way a person moves through their day, or sometimes how little they move at all. And this change, though quiet, can speak volumes about what the body is going through. And this is where many families begin to notice that even the simplest movements are no longer as easy as they once were. You might see it in the way someone gets out of bed in the morning. What used to be a quick, natural motion now takes time. There may be a pause before sitting up, a moment of stillness before standing. It's not just stiffness, it's a kind of hesitation, as if the body is gathering the energy it needs before each step. Walking across a room can start to feel like a much bigger task. Steps become shorter, slower, sometimes uncertain. Balance may not feel as steady. You might notice them reaching for walls, furniture, or a loved one's arm for support. Even turning around can take more care. Over time, movement itself becomes something that requires effort, not something that happens freely. And because of that, many older adults begin to move less, not out of choice, but out of necessity. Sitting becomes more comfortable than standing. Lying down feels easier than sitting. Rest becomes the preferred state because every movement now costs more energy than it used to. There's also a visible change in posture. The body may lean forward slightly. The head may rest more often against a chair. Hands stay still for longer periods. You might notice them closing their eyes, even when they're not fully asleep, simply because being still feels better than being active. Inside the body, several things are happening at once. Muscles are naturally losing mass. Circulation slows. The signals between the brain and the body don't travel as quickly or as strongly. Joints may feel stiff, and energy reserves become limited. So the body begins to prioritize. Instead of using energy for movement, it conserves it for essential functions, keeping the heart beating, the lungs working, the brain steady. Movement becomes less important than maintaining comfort and balance. There's also an emotional shift tied to this change. As mobility decreases, so does the desire to go places or do things that once felt meaningful. The world becomes smaller, not in a negative way, but in a more focused, simplified way. A person who once enjoyed going out may now feel content staying in one room. A short walk that used to feel refreshing may now feel unnecessary or even exhausting. Activities that once filled the day begin to fade, replaced by quiet moments of rest and reflection. For loved ones, this can be difficult to watch. There's often a strong urge to encourage more movement, to say, let's go for a walk, or you'll feel better if you stay active. And while gentle movement can still be helpful, pushing too hard can have the opposite effect. It can lead to fatigue, discomfort, or even falls. What becomes most important at this stage is not how much someone moves, but how comfortably they can move. Helping them shift positions safely, supporting them when they stand, making sure their environment is easy to navigate. These small adjustments can bring a sense of safety and dignity that matters far more than activity levels. Simple gestures can also carry deep meaning, adjusting a pillow, offering a warm blanket, gently holding their hand as they take a few steps. These acts may seem small, but they provide reassurance, comfort, and a feeling of being cared for. And if this is something you're experiencing yourself, it's okay to honor your body's need for rest. Movement doesn't have to look the way it once did. Even small motions, stretching your hands, shifting your position, taking a few careful steps, can be enough. Your body is not failing, it's changing its priorities. And as movement becomes more limited, another change often begins to appear. This one can feel more unfamiliar, sometimes even unsettling for those who haven't seen it before. It shows up in the way a person breathes, and in how they seem to experience the world around them. Breathing, which is something we rarely think about, can begin to change in subtle ways at first. You might notice that breaths become a little shallower. Instead of deep, steady breathing, there may be shorter, lighter breaths. At times, the rhythm may feel uneven, faster for a few moments, then slower again. As time goes on, these changes can become more noticeable. There may be brief pauses between breaths, a few seconds of stillness, followed by a deeper inhale, then a return to a softer, quieter rhythm. To someone witnessing this, it can feel concerning. It may even sound alarming. But in many cases, this is a natural pattern as the body begins to slow down. The demand for oxygen decreases. The body is no longer using energy in the same way, so it doesn't require the same level of breathing. You might also hear a soft sound in the throat during breathing. This can happen when muscles relax and saliva collects. It doesn't necessarily mean the person is uncomfortable. It's simply another sign that the body's automatic functions are changing. Alongside these physical changes, awareness can begin to shift as well. There may be moments when the person seems fully present, aware, responsive, able to speak clearly. And then, moments later, they may drift into a quieter state, eyes half open, attention somewhere else. They might speak softly about people or places that aren't physically there. They may mention someone who passed long ago, or describe a memory as if it's happening right now. For families, this can feel confusing, even emotional. It may seem like they're losing touch with reality, but often it's something much gentler than that. The mind begins to move between the present and the past more freely. Memories become vivid. The boundary between now and then softens. It's not always distressing for the person experiencing it. In fact, it can feel comforting. Some people describe a sense of warmth, or peace, or familiarity during these moments. It's as if the mind is preparing, in its own quiet way, for a transition. Physically, as awareness shifts, the body may also begin to change in temperature and color. Hands and feet can feel cooler. Skin may appear paler or slightly bluish at the edges. Circulation is focusing more on vital organs and less on the outer parts of the body. All of these signs, while difficult to witness, are part of a natural process. And in these moments, what matters most is not intervention, but presence. A calm voice, a gentle touch. Sitting nearby, even in silence, can bring more comfort than words ever could. There may be an instinct to call out, to try to bring them back into full awareness, to say, "Stay with me," or "Wake up." But often the most compassionate thing you can offer is reassurance, softly letting them know they're not alone, that they are safe, that they are loved. Because even when awareness seems distant, the feeling of comfort and connection can still be deeply understood. And if you're hearing this and recognizing some of these changes in yourself, there is nothing here to fear. These are not signs of something going wrong. They are signs of the body and mind moving into a different kind of peace, a quieter rhythm, where less effort is needed and more stillness is welcomed. In the end, what these changes gently remind us is not just that life has limits, but that those limits can be approached with dignity, understanding, and even a sense of calm. And perhaps more than anything, they remind us of what truly matters in the time we have.